Hey, vinyl community. Thought we'd do another video today, and thought I'd try just doing some random stuff, recent purchases, and just things that I brought out that I've been listening to this week that just kind of thought were worth showing a little highlight on. The first one was pulled out an old record that I bought during the kind of the COVID period, and it's when a lot of jazz was coming out of London and New York. A lot of new jazz was coming out of London and New York, and this was an album that I bought after reading a review online of it, and I haven't listened to it a whole lot since that period. I took it out today kind of with the intention of thinking if it didn't still grab me that perhaps I would think about trading it off or something and trying something new. But I gave it a listen, and Black Flower, Future Floral. This is it's a good record. It's got a lot of, it takes kind of Ethiopian jazz as its template, and then adds kind of a lot of psychedelic and dub sounds to it, and there's a lot of cool keyboard and organ in it, augmenting that jazz sound, and ends up being a pretty lots of interesting colors coming out of this, lots of browns and blacks, and creamy chocolate sounds coming out of this, if that makes any sense. It certainly fit it was a beautiful fall day here in Michigan today, and this album captured the season for me, and I'll be holding on to this. I wish it was a little more, if I were to be critical of it in any way, I wish it was a little more adventurous, and I wish the musicians were a little more willing to go out there on the limb more. But despite that criticism, it's a pretty great listen. Black Flower. Next, here's a record I've owned for a long time, and I don't pull it out a lot, but when I do, I'm always, and I would say this about it before I show you. The cover, I think, is a little unfortunate, and kind of runs with some 1950s era themes of stereotypes, but it's Guy Warren, African drums. This is it's primarily drumming. I call it a jazz record. There are bits and pieces of flute and some other instruments, some horns, augmenting it a little bit. But primarily this is driven by Guy Warren's drums. And I'll tell you, Guy Warren is the real deal, man. This is a fantastic record. He's a drummer, musician from Ghana. And I'm sure that Living Stereo gave him an opportunity to be before a much wider audience, Western audience anyway. And for me personally, I wouldn't think that I would be able to be captivated by an album that was strictly drums, or at least primarily. No problem here. This is a captivating record, and one that will you can put it on and listen all the way through. And his drumming is so emotional, and so again, it shows where kind of non-Western drumming taking the instrument to a whole new area, an emotional area, where it stops being just about percussion and starts being about conveying an artistry on a whole nother level. So. And I think this can be had pretty inexpensively, so keep an eye out for it, and I think you might enjoy it, despite the kind of like I say, unfortunate cover. So there's that. Next, one of my favorite reggae records, dub records. We all know Keith Hudson, but this record is amazing. Flesh of my skin, blood of my blood. 1974. This is Keith at his most experimental, his most psychedelic. his most personal. I think this record conveys a lot of the anger and frustration that was happening in Jamaica at that time, and the struggle for independence, and from an empire that dominated the island, and you can hear all that in these songs. There's also a kind of record that goes along with it, Playing It Cool. I used to have that on CD, and I had to sell that off in order to help finance something, but this is great. It's on Basic Replay label, which from what I understand is a legit label, and so the artist is getting some benefit from these records. That's what I read anyway, and I hope that's accurate. Either way, an amazing record, and if you like Keith Hudson, this to me is and Playing It Cool are the best things he's ever done. Next, probably one of my best finds of the last 10 years, maybe. Right before COVID hit, I walked into a record store, and they had all these records from Lebanon and from Greece, and just bins full of them. Most of it looked like stuff they sell to American tourists. But there was one record that immediately caught my eye, and it was this, Mosaic of the Orient by Rahbani. And Rahbani is a Lebanese musician who worked in the Middle East on a lot of, he did some soundtracks, children's music. This is a compilation of his music, and became very popular. I think the release date on it was 1972. This is, I believe, a Greek release, but this album came out throughout, Turkey and Lebanon and Greece and that whole region of the world, and became a really popular record. It's psychedelic in the best sense of that word. It's a celebration. It's taking the music to a whole nother area, and that cover alone, that's why I grabbed it. And it wasn't until I got home and looked it up that this is a pretty sought after record. I had no idea, but I grabbed it because I just fell in love with that cover. And then once I put it on, and it just fills your home with joy and celebration, and you can, it's visceral. You can feel it. 1972. So that was an amazing find, and to this day remains one of my favorite finds that I've ever had, and one of my favorite records. Beautiful record. Here's a good one. This was another. I walked into a record store in Lansing, Michigan, and they had all these expensive records that I thought was a little overpriced, and I stumbled upon this one. This is Cantillian singer-songwriter Sisa, and again, the cover just drew me into it, and I had no idea what it sounded like until I got it home. I grabbed it immediately and put it on, and it's a singer-songwriter record, but really psychedelic and whimsical, and a lot of experimentation going on here. There's a lot of good-natured vibes on here, and a lot of good-natured humor in here, mixed with a lot of sincerity. And the album ranges all the way from heartbreak all the way to just fun, whimsical tracks that will make you smile, that you cannot smile when you hear them. As I said, this is not sung in English, and since I can't understand the actual words, but it just doesn't matter. Whether you can understand the words, the stories come through, the enthusiasm comes through, the emotions of the singer and songwriter all are there and conveyed. People get a little too hung up, especially I think English speakers get a little too hung up on wanting everything to be sung in English, and that's a huge mistake. This is a great record, and I think I looked it up once on Discogs. I don't think it's a terribly expensive record. If you come by and you see it, you might want to grab it. It's really good. And oh, one more. This is a record that I saw on Seeking the Thread and on Stunt Rock's live stream. And this is Alan Skidmore, Mike Osborne, and John Sermon. And this is a really great record. Stunty played it on his live stream, and then I saw it on Seeking the Thread's video too. And props to those guys, because this is my kind of jazz record. The playing is great. It's great as a jazz record, but it also mixes in electronics. You know, this is 1975, and you're hearing stuff that today sounds like it's futuristic music, and especially on side 2, you hear the mix of electronic music mixing in these rhythms and these sounds that sound like they're coming out of a club in 2023. A great record, an exuberant record, and a lot of fun and interesting too, appealing to both your heart and your head at the same time. So, just a couple records that I wanted to show off there quickly. Things that I've been listening to, and sometimes it's fun to just to share a few of those with the community. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you saw something that you thought was interesting, and we'll catch up with you next time. Thanks.